Hello guys, how are you? The Codeholic is here. In this video I want to show you how to render content from controllers or from views or from any other places. So I'm going to create page controller, extend web controller and create an action about. And from this about action I want to render a view. So for this I have to introduce a method of the controller. The controller has a couple of methods for rendering content, rendering views, and right now I'm going to use render. And here we should pass the view name which should be rendered. So I'm going to pass here about, and we can see in the browser what happens right now. So I want to access page/about, and here I see error, view file doesn't exist, and it searches this about PHP under views page about PHP. Okay, so you probably guess, but what happens here is that automatically the framework takes the prefix as views and then the page folder, which is the ID of the current controller. So if the current controller would be named like my page controller, then it would search here my-page in lowercase. Okay, so we need to create this folder right here and create about PHP file. Let's write something in H1, hello from page controller. Let's open and see in the browser, hello from page controller. Cool. You can actually use other methods to render content. Okay, so we have other methods like render partial content, Ajax, and file. Let me show you first render content. So the render content accepts not a view file, but the whole content. Okay, here I need to pass h1 and then inside it hello world. Okay. So if I go to the browser, instead of hello from page controller, I will see hello world. Another method is render partial. Render partial basically accepts a view also here. Let me give it about, but it renders this without layout. So if we see right now, we see hello from page controller, and if we see the page source, we don't see HTML structure, we only see the current view file. Okay, let's see other methods. Render file. This render file is the most basic version of render among render methods. It doesn't prefix anything, it doesn't suffix .php, it searches this file immediately, okay, like this. So it searches about and that's it. This is a really low-level method and probably you should not use it. I have used it, I think, 1 or 2 times, depending on the case. Okay, so this method is rarely used. And render Ajax. Render Ajax is used when the request to the current action is made using Ajax, and it renders without layout, but except that it also correctly handles registered JavaScript and CSS files. Okay, so when you make a request using Ajax, you should use this instead of render partial. Okay, let's see how to render views from the view itself. Okay, so I will revert this into render. Here it is. Let's go to the about PHP, and below I want to render another view. Okay, so I want to output another view, and for this I will have to access this from the view. And this from the view basically refers to the view object. So I recommend to check out the following link, which will be in the video description. This is API documentation for eWebView, which is a child class of eBaseView. And you can explore these both classes, eWebView and eBaseView, to see what properties they support and what methods also. And if we search using Ctrl F here, we can see that it supports render method somewhere below. Here it is. Let's go to the view and use this render and pass here some like page-footer, okay, or page_footer. Okay, so I have to let me just see the result. Okay, let's go to the page and see the result. So it searches this page footer PHP under the same folder. Okay, so this is the default behavior of rendering views from another views, that right now application searches the page footer.php in this page folder. Okay, so we have to create this page controllers footer. Okay, let's see in the browser, and here is page controllers footer. There is also a way to render views from another place. Okay, so you can do this even from the events. Like, let's go to the config web, and let me create here before action event on before action. I can render something. Okay, like echo, I need to access up view component, and this view component has a render, and if I pass here the view file name, it will try to access. But consider that you cannot just give it here about, because it cannot guess from where you want to render this. So if we save this right now and see in the browser, we see that unable to resolve a view file for view about, no active view context. Okay, so if we want to use this way to render views, we have to differently pass the view file, like using the either absolute path or using aliases, like the up, which is the current alias. We haven't talked also about aliases, but that's just a reference to the current folder. Okay, Yii2 basic. So from current folder, from the application root folder, there is /views /page and then about. Okay, so let's refresh the page, and I see this hello from page controller and this footer 2 times. So one times it's rendered from this before action, and second, this is rendered from the controller. In the following way, I can access and render another controller's view from another controller. Okay, so in the page controller, let's say that I want to render a site controller's about page. Okay, so for this, I know that the current context for this page controller is the views page, and I can access it, the sites about PHP, in the following way, like go one directory up, go to the sites folder, and then render about. And if we see this right now, we can see this on page about, the sites about file is rendered. Or in the second way to do this is to use absolute pathing, like up views site about. So this works in the same way. Let's see how to pass data to views. Okay, let me revert this back and see how to pass data to views. So I can pass the data in the way of associative array to the views. Okay, so here in the view, in the about PHP, I want to pass data like A corresponds to 1 and B corresponds to. So if I go to the about PHP right now, I can access these 2 variables. Echo A, let's put line break, and echo B. Let's see this in the browser. Here it is, 1 and 2, and then the footer is rendered. Let me put this footer in its own div. Here it is. In the following way, you can pass variables of any complexity, like objects, even closure functions, and so on. And if you want, you can also accept an argument in the about and pass the argument directly to the view, like ID, and the A will become this ID. Let's go to the browser and append their ID, which will be like 41. Okay, so here is the 41. So if you want to share data between multiple views, you should use this params property of the view file itself. Okay, so the view, which is the this class, the view file, so you can find here also params. And the params is just an associative array, keys and values. Okay, so I can insert something in this associative array and get it from somewhere else. I can access this view instance view component in the following way. Like I can access it using up view, of course, but I can also access it with this get view or this view. Okay, so this view params, and I can insert something like shared variable. Okay, and the shared variable is string I am shared. Okay, so, and the shared variable I want to access, let's say that in the page footer. Okay, so the shared variable. Okay, I will go to the page footer and create a new div and output right here php echo this, which refers to the view, this params shared variable. Okay, and let's see in the browser, and here it is, I am shared. In the following way, you can access these shared variables and these params from anywhere, from layout, from like widgets, or from anywhere else basically. So these params will be inserted inside up view component. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about layouts in this video. I plan to do a separate video, but it's because it's a really interesting topic in my mind. Okay, if you want to know from where the current view is rendered, from which context the current view is rendered, you can access this using the context property of the view. This context and the ID. Okay, so if I save this and refresh the page, I see page. So this means that the current view page footer is rendered from the page controller's context. And we can dump the whole context object and see what it is. It's page controller, and it's huge object. Okay, let's see how I can change the browser titles or register meta titles from the views. Okay, now I want to register here the browser title. Okay, so I will use this title is page dash about us. Okay, so let's go to the browser and refresh the page, and here it is, page about us as the browser title. Okay, in the following way, I can register meta titles and meta tags in general. Okay, so for this I will use register. Let me do the following way. Okay, so if you are using PHP Storm, I advise you to put here doc blocks for the view object. Okay, so I will write here if a view is this. So this basically means that a variable this is an instance of eWebView, and whenever I start using this and hit the control and space, I see the autocompletion like register meta tag, and I can pass an array, associative array. Okay, so and I should pass here like the name is keywords, like meta keywords, and the content is like Yii2 advanced and so on. I don't know. Okay, so let's go to the browser and refresh the page and view page source, and let's observe it, and here we see name is keywords, content is Yii2 advanced. Once again, I recommend to check out the API documentation of the view. You will find a lot of useful methods and properties. Okay, that's it guys for this video. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, share, provide a nice comment. Also let me know in the comment section what you think about my videos, and see you next time.